It's not about having the diet and could cure you of the disease, but the diet well enough to prevent you from having the disease in the first place. And if I would start now, I would have a long time to enjoy my life. A lot of people complaining why we have to eat plant-based meat, the fake thing at the higher price. And we have to prove to the consumer that the taste you can get better, the price you can get better through economy of scale or through whatever way we find, right? But not corner cutting, not cheap shot, not like faking the ingredient list. No, that's not the point, right? We talk about the first launch in March of 2020, and that is the time that COVID-19 broke out. I'm the chief eating officer. I want to eat this. How can you go out of the side? I'm not the food scientist. I'm engineer by training, right? All the credits go to the R&D team. At the first time we had a problem. There's no category called plant-based. So when they put the product in the burger, one chain put us next to the frozen green peas. One put us next to the frozen beef burger. But I think over, let's say a year, the supermarket start to have a lot of members on this group, and they can call plant-based. So they allot the one freezer or two freezer for plant-based items.
What does it take to produce the meat we eat? 83% of world's farmland is growing for livestock. 15,000 liters of water is used to produce 1 kilo of beef.
The pollution, when we measure, is increasing every year at the point where it's really, really difficult and then destroying the economy.
Welcome back to the plant-based podcast Asia, the place to inspire, educate, and connect. I'm your host Nick, and together we explore the vibrant landscape of plant-based living in Asia. Today I'm very honored to have Mr. Smith Taweelerdniti here with us. He is the managing director of Niti Food and also the CEO of Let's Plant Meat, a plant-based meat startup company of here in Thailand. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. So been honored for being here.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here. I mean, I've been following you and your products for a few years now, and we also display some of the products here. I mean, you're doing different plant-based meats, and if I'm correct, you are the first brand in Thailand that has started to do plant-based meat. Is that correct?
So I think for the burger, I think we are the first Thai brand that attempt to produce from locally the burger. But I think at the time when we started, there's a few companies that are like conceiving around the same time, right? But then they do different things like the pork belly or mince or the burger. So I think who is the first is quite debatable. But I think we think about like we are all pioneering the new field for Thailand, and I think we are grateful for we have the collaborator in the space during the time. I think around 2019.
2019. So Niti Food is a spice and seasoning manufacturing company, right? A $10 million company doing spices now in the second generation, right? So how did that all started now from doing the spices and the seasoning to starting plant-based meat? What was the inspiration? Please share with us.
I'm a second generation management, so my uncle and my dad and my aunt started the company, Niti Foods, around 1998, and I joined around 2009. And then try to learn the ropes of the business, how to do spices, selling to industries. And then we think about how can we value add our spice to be more sellable across the border. So seasoning is the logical next steps for bringing spice, sugar, salt, MSG, and then you can create something that you go to industry, either like for snacks, for marinades. And then during that time, I think we are exploring the idea how food and health are connected, right? So I went out and deep diving on reading books, try to find connection between diets and human health. And there are a few trends, say like reducing salt, fat, and sugar, or reducing some foreign ingredients. And then one other idea that come interesting to me is avoiding the animal products. So at the time say, wow, there's a group of people there avoiding the animal product and then they would live healthier. And would that be a interesting idea? Would I try? So I became vegetarian.
Wow. So you just do your research and you decided that makes sense and you turn vegetarian.
If that makes sense, let's try to see how hard it to be living healthy by skipping the animal, skipping the meat. And that is maybe like the gate, that the bridge that I cross over to kind of like seeing, oh, there's the market for alternative protein, vegan and plant-based products.
Was it very difficult back then? Because I mean, to be living as a vegetarian, and did that also further inspire you because you realized maybe there are not many products out there, or how difficult was it?
I think the first is you have to train your mind, right? Yesterday you still had this, and now your mind say you don't want to have this, right? At the parties, like we have to like eat around other offerings. Let's say pad thai, we have to eat something without the shrimp and things like that. Try not to be so like cumbersome for others or the host or for our maids or our cook, right? Try to eat around the meat and sea, and then starting to incorporate more mushrooms, tofus, beans, peanuts, and anything to the diets. Because the book say like you have to take protein from these grains and legumes. And then over time it became repetitive. Like if you live in Thailand, you know how good is kapao, right? Stir fried hot basil tastes good. But when you do that to the mushroom, it's not exactly the same way you're doing with the meat. So I'm still longing for this type of experience. It's good, but then okay, it should be better, right? And then eating tofu. Tofu is not gonna be deliver the same mouth-watering or like succulent or absorbing the sauce like the meat can perform, right? And at the time, I think it's about a year that I became vegetarian. It's kind of like it start getting bored. I kind of wonder that's why people don't stick to this diet, because the choices are limited and quite repetitive. Then through the research like YouTube and everything is come across like the plant-based meat brand. Can I say the brand? Sure. Beyond Meat.
Right.
At the time before they even come to sell in Thailand, they look at the videos like, ooh, they're talking about having the beef burger, but entirely made out of plants. Which for me, ooh, it is something look like meat and then made from plant. That's my concept that I want to eat. And then, but they don't have it in Thailand yet. And I kind of see like, oh, the price of the burger that is quite expensive. Say 2 patty is around, say 300 Thai baht. Wow. So these are something where it's quite hefty for the price. And then in the video say, they use food science and technology to recreate this like physiology of meat from animal from all plants and become an inspiration. Can we do similar things? Like using our resources. Niti Food as a company, we have the R&D team, we have the food science labs and everything. But what we don't have is proteins, right? So can we start doing this, right? So this has become the inspiration by, hey, this idea, there's somebody done it in the US and I want to eat it too. Let's start doing something like this.
Mm-hmm. Can you share a little bit about the process of developing that product? Like how long did it take you? What challenges did you face? And then also go into when you first entered the market here in Thailand with that product, 2020, 3 years, a lot of things have happened since then. So how was the landscape like back then?
So at first, I was thinking when being vegetarian and eating non-meat is better for the health, and let's see how can we align our R&D effort toward this type of direction. Before plant-based meat, we explore plant-based egg. Or liquid plant-based egg, how can we formulate that? Or mung bean, or we read around the blogs and see. But then again, liquid eggs will require some different manufacturing capabilities, like with the homogenization, pasteurization, and then one thing that become difficult is the shelf life of the liquids product. It becomes say like 3 months, 6 months, where I think it's too short to produce in the large scale and sell. And then there are also people doing the plant-based egg powder.
Right.
I say, let's try to do that. And then the result, even from the product we bought or the one that we try to develop, is not satisfactory. So, let's scrap that idea. Let's do again. What about meat? Okay, let's do some burger. How can we do that? So our team is exploring here and there. We buy like the protein cassette, right? Or the texture proteins, like all the vegetarian mock meat, and chop it up, put it up, and then mixing with the wheat flour, try to do like hand breading and things, try to see if we can recreate the meat-like texture out of something totally plant. Right? And then we go out and do more and more. We found there's various components of the vegetable proteins that we can bring in and reformulate it toward similar burger-like thing. And then we develop kind of minced meat that could be minced meat form or the burger forms, right? And then in developing the products like the plant-based meat, there are two directions, there are two prongs developments. One is texture developments. How can we create something that act like meat? Act like meat means when it's raw, it's pink, it's soft and tender. But when it's cooked, it's hardened, it's brown, and it can be it can be char grill, right? This is one development, and then the texture is not too tough and not too mushy. These are the area that quite complicated on developing the texture. And the other area is the taste developments. How can we develop it somewhere there's not beany smell? How can it make it that taste umami, like we eating the meat, we're not eating the chunk of rubber, right? Or when we take the sauce, it come out well. So these are the two prongs developments. But thankfully in Niti Foods we do the marinades, we do seasoning powder for other companies. And one of the key component of doing the great seasoning is how can you control umami? How can you deliver umami taste? We have MSG to deliver umami, or we have yeast extracts and other components to do the non-MSG umami version. And I think we have a lot of idea lying around on how to marinate better. What if we take out all the spice and see what is the most bland marinade to create the meat that still have umami and not overpowering spice in it? And then we put a lot of effort in the texture developments, and that when the two area comes together, it create a burger. Then we have quite kind of workable product.
Okay, interesting. So you did this R&D and you entered the market. How was the market like, the plant-based market in 2020? Now talking about Thailand first, and what development did you see in the past 3 years? I mean, we had a special time in between there with COVID, of course.
Sure. When I say when we develop, so I had to give all the credit to R&D team. I'm the chief eating officer. Right? I want to eat this. How can you go out of the side? I'm not the food scientist. I'm engineer by training, right? But then again, all the credits went to the R&D team. But then again, we also have kind of working product. We are hesitating between what to launch first, either burger or the minced meat. We have to do one of each. We cannot do both. And then at the time, we don't know how to go to market, because the plant-based meat is frozen. It requires full cold chain to do this, and then go to retail, who to send the product to the supermarket 2 carton every week, and then they have like 5 to 10 chains. These are the consideration at the time. Like, how can we do this? We need to find partners. You need to find partner to fulfill the need of retail or food services, and then how can we work together to create? And then we have relationship and getting to know the company called Chakota Brothers. Chakota, they are the meat importers. They are premium seafood, meat, cheese, whatever, French fry, frozen vegetable around the world, import to Thailand and supply to all the staff, hotel and everything. And we get to know the company and found out, I think we have something we have two pieces of jigsaw that we can put together. They're also exploring any proteins that is trending. Plant-based meat is one of the proteins. Either they have to import. We also have the protein in Thailand, but we need some partner on distribution. How can we work together on, say, you have distribution and we have the products, and then this been made locally, and to work closely to develop this market together. So at the time we are one of the first companies. So they're the first company that want to selling these things. So it more like the two mind think alike, and then let's try. So there's one day Chakota say, hey, Mr. Smith, Lotus wants plant-based burger to be on sale, and you look like you have it. They want to launch the first on the March 26, 2020. Can you make it? He called me 24th of February. So we have about a month. February don't even have 30 days.
Wow.
So we have around a month from the prototype that we think is good enough, and then to the product that need to be on the retail shelf. So we are rushing to create the packaging, we do the design, we do the everything, and then come the right time, and then we sell to Rimping first, because Rimping is in Chiang Mai, and also to Lotus, and that is the first collaboration with our partner in distribution in Thailand for Chakota Brothers to supermarket, and then they have connection to list products to many chains like the Gourmet Markets, Foodland, the mall, top supermarkets, and all these major chains. And then one of the idea that we still haven't had, the idea is macro, which is another different category on the food service and wholesales. And that is the first year, right? We talk about the first launch in March of 2020, and that is the time that COVID-19 broke out.
Right, hit. So, talking about the R&D, now your partners, now let's move to the consumer. So then, of course, you launched the product, COVID hit right at the same time. But let's not focus about COVID for now. Let's talk a little bit about the customer and the acceptability and the feedback of the product, because obviously here in Thailand, we have this long vegetarian tradition called Che, so people are used to eat mock meat, but this is more like textured soy protein that is not so fancy and novel like your products. So you did this pioneering work here in Thailand, really, and then how is the acceptance of the customers back then?
I think thanks that we are in Chiang Mai and Rimping, they are the leading edge of like the good gourmet foods, and Rimping say, we have I talked to Rimping, say, we have the plant-based meat, and okay, sure, come sell. I think this is trending. We like to do it. And then Chakota also list to Rimping and also to the Lotus, like I mentioned earlier. And then one of the good thing about selling the plant-based meat is we have the groups on Facebook. Right. They congregate together around like vegan Chiang Mai, vegan here, vegan that. At the time, there's no word plant-based, but the vegan or vegetarian society in the grouping, they share like the recipe idea or restaurant, right? We also introduce ourselves. Hey, we are from Chiang Mai. We're launching this product. We're selling first in Rimping. Maybe you can try buying from them. And then once they know, once we post, and then the next hour, there's a group of people go and buy. Wow. And then within a few hours, they cook, and then they report back to the group, say, wow, this excellent product. I was like, wow, thanks, why so quick? Chiang Mai has a lot of expats, right? Or the Western community that live in Chiang Mai, and then they also eat like this. And then they are familiar themselves with like Beyond Meat and everything. But then again, for Thai product, I think it's new. And then I think they also being kind to try our product. And they say, wow, it tastes not bad. It tastes really good. I think this is a good product. So we get a lot of good early feedback that to take it, we can take it to build our website. We have the quote from the early customers, say how they feel about our products. And then when we go to Bangkok, then I think there's also the Vegan in Bangkok and Vegan Thailand, Vegan of Thailand Facebook group. We try to introduce our products to that communities without like trying to be too hard on selling. So I think at early on they have a good acceptance and a good reception from the audience, and I think the words go around. And I think at the time it's new too. I think Beyond Meat IPO in around 2019. It become wow, the plant-based meat company can be IPOing in Nasdaq and they can get the investors so rich. And the people talk about this and Impossible also keen to go to public in the US too. I think there should be a gold mine in the plant-based. So I think supermarkets also want to have something onto their refrigerators. Investor want to seek out who are the company in this space in Asia. And a lot of this development and consumer talk about it. There's news media talking about this plant-based meat, or you can get rich by selling mock meat. I think we also receive what they call the early wins from that kind of like movement on this IPO on Beyond Meat, and Beyond Meat came to Thailand and sell too. So we have the benchmark. This Beyond Meat, this is us, and then we have other brand companies too. So I think the media also being receptive and talk about this quite a lot. And supermarket, they are first keen to have it into their freezers. But I also want to share with you that I think at the first time we had a problem. There's no category called plant-based. So when they put the product in the burger, let's say one chain put us next to the frozen green peas, one put us next to the frozen beef burger. So it's scattered around. So the consumer say, where do you sell in supermarket? At the time we don't have the food soldier to see where. So we have, I don't know, it's a freezer.
How did you solve that problem, and where are you now, in which category? Or now the category is big enough?
Is big enough to have its own space, but at the time you are the one product within like the larger category, say either mock meat or beef or something, right? Imported meat or French fries.
Right.
But I think over, let's say a year, the supermarket start to have a lot of members on this group, and they can call plant-based, so they allot the one freezer or two freezer for plant-based items.
Wow.
And we have a whole.
So one topic that we always talk about on this podcast is obviously sustainability, which is very closely tied to plant-based products. And to move into this, I want to read the sentence that is printed up here on the packaging. It says, "What does it take to produce the meat we eat? 83% of world's farmland is growing for livestock. 15,000 liters of water is used to produce 1 kilo of beef. It is unbelievable, but there is hope." Thank you for doing this pioneering work, Kun Smith. So I know your story, and I know the story. We're both based here in Chiang Mai. Can you share with the audience a little bit about how do these two interrelate, sustainability and plant-based meat? I mean, nowadays, let's say compared to 5 years back, it's fortunately, it's almost like a knowledge most people have. But we have issues here in Chiang Mai, especially also with the burning season. How is that interrelated? Because I see on some veg news that you shared in some interviews about that problem also.
So I live in Chiang Mai 15 years, right? And before we don't have any problem. We have in the winter time from say November to say February, Chiang Mai is the best place to visit, right? Cool climates and soothing environment and everything is good. And then I think 7-8 years back, we start having let's say 2 weeks of smokes, and say no one know what this smoke come. And then the next year we have somebody discover this is the air pollution, and they had a measurement called PM 2.5 that measure the quality of the pollution in the air that you breathe in. And PM 2.5 is not PM 10 because the particle is so small, it can penetrate to your blood systems and it can create something weird into your body. And people start being aware, and then Chiang Mai has many groups that are wearing this thing, like Chiang Mai Creative City, Chiang Mai Breed Council, and many people try to find out why we have this smoke season. And from 3 weeks become a month, become 2 months, become 3 months, right? We see this every year. It's become more and more and longer, and then the pollution when we measure is increasing every year, at the point where it's really, really difficult and then destroying the economy, right? During Songkran, it should be the best season for Chiang Mai. Then it's smoke. People see the news, Chiang Mai has the smoke pollution. Then people canceling their trips or the hotel, and then the tourism economy suffer because of this smoke season. And then let's go back toward, okay, where smoke come from? It can come from the wildfire, it can come from people burning to find mushroom, and then burning on the fields after rice paddy growing. And one of the thing is growing for animal feeding. Growing rice, you need a plot of land that has a lot of high irrigation. But when you drive around Chiang Mai, you can see in the hill area, and live here long enough to see before there's lush green hills, and then it's dense forest, and now it's become cut down and planting crops. And that crop is corn. And the corn is not the corn that we eat, but because corn for animal feeding requiring the corn to be dry in the field, and then they can pluck and then they can do it, right? Because corn, for the corn feed, they can grow without irrigation, like the condensation of the water. They could give enough moisture for them to grow, and then they have to dry in the field to be ready to harvest. And once they harvest, they're plucking the ear, and then they're leaving the tree and stalk. And then the easiest method for the planter to get rid of it, to plant the next crops, is to burn. And that is one of, we don't know, we have many studies to measure what account for this, right? It could be wildfire, it could be from the rice paddy field, it could be from the corn. But I live it long enough to see that we don't have this corn, this large area before, right? When we see this, and then the practice of corn growing, when you see a lot of the dry stalk in the field, the burning is quite common for them. It's easy, right? And this corn is the corn that we don't eat directly, but these are the corn that going to milk cow, going to chicken feed, going to the pork feeding, right? Pig feedings. And we are the consumers of these animal products. But then when we have the study, we blaming the farmers. Oh, they are the one that pollute, and they are the one to blame. We are city people, we are suffering on the economy. We have to each buy the air purifier at our own account, right? But then it's the farmer's problem. But then again, don't we realize that we are the demand of the where or the crops they grow? I think, how can we find this connection? And I came to doing plant-based meat because of the health. But the more I read, the more I can see behind the scene where there's livestock and then the feeds circle around, right? And I want to give an idea. If someone read the box like this or the packaging, I want to put something for the consumer to be aware. We have a choice, and we're making some choice. And your food determines the environment on the planet that we and our children will live.
That's very powerful. So thanks for explaining the interrelation, because I think many people, they're simply not aware of that circle of, well, there are crops being planted that are solely planted for the purpose of feeding animals. And then if people consume those animals or consume meat, that is obviously, then stimulating more growth of these crops. So it's like a vicious cycle. So is there you are doing something great by putting, you're making the consumer aware by putting something like this on here, but has there been some work or some efforts been done by other organizations or parties or groups, or what is needed to solve this problem?
I think there's many fronts to go and solve this problem. One is to find, say, do what they call biochar. By having the pyrolysis, like the burner, that the farmer can burn again to make the stalk become the char to use for like charcoals, right?
Right.
And this is called biochar, but it's quite tedious. And think about like the field that is like this slanted 35 degrees. It's quite hard to do this type of thing. Or planting some vegetables that could earn more money than selling the corn feeding. There's many effort to do that. Or even the work by government to like, okay, this is the burning ban. This day to this day you should not burn, blah blah blah. So a lot of people try to do different things, right? So we think we are the one of the ideas, stimulation for people to think, but I think it's still a hard to be won battle or hard to communicate, because is people want to feel convenience and want to retain to their. It's not to blame them, but I think the society needs some realization that before cigarettes is common in every airport. Now it's not, right? Styrofoam, it become quite common. People throw the styrofoam everywhere and clog the and then cause floods, right? And now meat and environment is something new, and it takes time to be digested by the communities.
Right. Well, I have a question for you. I've read that in Thailand per day about 100 million plastic straws are being consumed. So that's more than one plastic straw per person living in Thailand. And early 2020, I think Thailand, they banned single-use plastic bags, right? Do you think efforts like this should be taken also in terms of the behavior, in terms of diet and eating, on nationally or internationally, or would that be like too much dictatorship kind of?
I think this is debatable, because I had to admit it, the way the protein industry was built in the past 30 years to make the protein affordable. Before, chicken is the meat for the rich, but now chicken is the most affordable proteins per kilogram for the masses, right? I think, and also a lot of the economy is tied to animal industry. It will take time to develop some, say EV, right? Develop some viable option, more economical, more sustainable option. Before EV don't have the charge station, then no one buy, right? It takes time, chicken and egg thing. This, we hope that by continued effort, maybe slow, maybe quick, regardless, we try to do it anyhow, and then try to ban one thing or the rest. You are try to overpowering the other thought, right? I think people who came to plant-based, I think they either had enough on the old life, and they want, like me, the reason that I tried not to eat meat so much or weaning out meat, because I don't want to get old and have to go to surgery to remove my cancer or tumors, or having to take 2 statins a day, right? And I think the life should be more enjoyable if we can live healthily, and then by diets. It's not about having the diets and could cure you of the disease, but the diets well enough to prevent you from having the disease in the first place. And if I would start now, I would have a long time to enjoy my my life. Right. Similarly, if someone discovered by reading, by inspiring from the talk or by the reading books, they can have a choice of themselves. But once they want to make a choice and there's no option in the market, it's be hard, right? So we want to offer choice. In the shade of black to white, there's a shade of grays. You can say, oh, this is highly processed. You can eat this pumpkin, fine. It's a shade of gray. You choose yourself, but we have the option for everyone. But in every option, if we turn toward one good direction, I think it's the wellness and boon for the mankind.
Mm-hmm. Very well put. I fully agree on that. one thing that I want to talk about is a little bit about the pricing, because I think this is still a major challenge that we face. Let's especially talk about Thailand here. If we want to make these products being consumed by the everyday consumer, there needs to be something done in the price. I mean, you've already done a great work by cutting the price of Beyond Meat by, I don't know, at least half or more, right? But what is needed to to compete actually with the pricing of meat? Because I think in the Netherlands is the first country now that plant-based meat is actually cheaper than maybe chicken, I'm not sure. So I would love to see that here in Thailand, and what do we need to get there?
I think we need to think end to end, from the farms to the supermarket or to the tables, where these products being handled, touched, and distributed. Meat is so well run that everything is become end to end, right? From the animal feed, from the raising of the calf to raising them to be big, slaughtering, processing, distributing, and renting space to sell on the retail. And then the mode of the meat they sell in the chill modes, right? So I think everything is being well tuned for the past 30 years, like I said, right? To make it affordable. You will never imagine how thin the margin for the protein industry is. And protein is often a loss leader for supermarkets. Okay, come to our store because our pork is 10 baht cheaper than the published price. So the customer come to the one shop because the protein is cheaper, then they'll pick up the tissue paper and other things so they can earn the margin from something else, right? One thing in Thailand that we discover that protein is being price controlled, specifically egg and pork. That there's a published price by Department of Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce, that no one in the country should sell red pork meat more than, say, 180 baht a kilogram.
So there's an upper limit? Or
there's upper limit.
An upper limit.
There's upper limit. No one can sell higher than this.
Oh, wow.
But the farm price, say, maybe like 120 by slaughtering, and then become 130, 140. So the margin is like in the single digits. And if the supermarket could not sell it quick enough, then they have to throw it away. So they often don't do what the same model like what a GP, right? When you sell something to supermarket and then they mark something up and then they continue to sell. But then they consign the space for the meat company to shelf themselves what is more, what is less for every day, price themselves. Because so they don't have, they earn the rent income from the space, and then let the end-to-end meat company to manage this, so they can control without going over the published prices. So this is where there's one advantage, to make sure that the price for the meat is affordable for the masses. But for the plant-based, we don't have that control. Whatever thing, they slap 25, 30%, 40% of the gross profit margin, and then we have to do it because no one buy in the mass quantity. Then we have to do frozen, say a year or 18 months shelf life. So the management of the product is higher cost than the chill, right? So I think, and then we also have to pay the VAT.
Right.
Animal meat doesn't have VAT.
Wow.
So these components, when add up, so let's say exit factory price, meat from plant and meat from the animal may not be so much different, but through the process, through the VAT, and then through the multiplication on the gross profit margin required by middlemen, then that becomes much different. And there's a lot of people complaining why we have to eat plant-based meat, the fake thing at the higher price, because there's not meat, and then they're selling for the high price, and then the taste at the time may not be as good as the animal meat, but then this be the argument toward the plant-based alternative, and we have to prove to the consumer that the taste can get better, the price can get better through economy of scale or through whatever way we find, right? But not corner cutting, not cheap shot, not like faking the ingredient list. No, that's not the point. The point is how can we scale that? How can we find the prediction, or how can we work with the industries to make sure that we can squeeze in unnecessary markup in the process.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so if you were to make some predictions or share a little bit about the outlooks that you have for the plant-based market here in Thailand, what do you think, how long, how many years are needed to, I know it's not an easy question to answer, but to maybe get it to a level where Europe is at, or North America?
I may not have enough information for Europe, but I see like the gas price in Europe is twice as high like in Thailand. The labor cost is 4 times as high like in Thailand, and distribution and everything, the land area, the rent is expensive because the concentration of people and lands, right? I think animal production is a lot of the labor cost, a lot of transportation, a lot of the waste management, and that once European tax every point or they do some good management on that, I think it could be possible that making the right animal meat in Europe is more costly than doing it in Thailand. But Thailand, we have cheaper labor, we have vast land, we have iffy, say, waste management efforts, right? So I think there's still not the same level where the taxation or the burden of conserving is put to the meat producer. In Thailand, we still at the what I call of the directive for the governments to control the inflation, and meat and egg price tied to the basket to measure the inflation. They will do whatever it takes to make sure these two indicators doesn't go up, because it affects the livelihood of everyone in the country. So that is the important job for governments, right? But to predict that, we could not fight the giant, right? But then how can you find the niche area or do some good thing? But in the scenarios in Thailand, right? People, we call ourselves like developing country. People are sometimes having the first jobber before at the college. They're eating like instant noodle, but once they having a job, they have the money, they'll go and eat, and protein like meat signify wealth. They want to go and eat all you can eat shabu and all this steak. They know all the cuts. They want to eat something well, and that is the what do you call
the challenge?
No, it's the lifestyles of the young generation. And then, but then again, at some point they will learn and they will find out this news and media like this, the plant-based podcast Asia, right? Oh, having the plant is not that bad. Then again, I'm thinking about there will be one scenario that could happen, and that will happen is the animal pandemic, right? Once the avian flus, one the swine flu, one the mad cow disease strike, because this is not the matter of whether or not it will happen, but it's about when it will strike again. And if you can see from the history, when they have to slaughter a few 100 million chickens and then that short the supply, it means the price of the protein like chicken went up, right? And this is the scenario where it will gradually raising the price of the animal-based protein to the level where it could be parity, and then at the same time the price of plant-based become efficiency, the knowledge of people, and then the breakthrough of the ingredient to make sure that we can go down. I think this will come at the point to intersect, and people may be at some point where in Asia we have the plant-based meat that more affordable than the animal proteins.
Got it. Thank you. To wrap it up a little bit, can you share about the outlooks at Niti Food and Let's Plant Meat? Anything that you're working on right now that you can share openly with the audience?
I think we are hoping that in the third quarter this year and fourth quarter, Thailand is open up again for visitors, and we have a lot of people come to say Got Samui, Got Phangan, Phuket, and all these things. And we understood that the Western visitors in Thailand, a lot of them, significant portion of them are the preferring vegan. So we see the sales from these burger shops are more. So we hope that we can grow toward this tourism industry again. And for other development, I think we are at the economic crunch, right? The energy price, it went up, the food price went up. Everybody want to fasten their belt or control the spending. I think it will be hard for seeing some rapid growth right now. But how can we, even the pocket of the niche, how can we satisfy the demand better and getting to understand the market better? For us, for say export, we see it's quite hard because everyone still say tighten up in every country, right? And exchange rate is up for Thailand, so it means it'll be harder for export and imports to see the higher growth. And I think giving the time, a lot of startups in local in each country are developing so that they have their own country champions. Say in Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, they have starting to have their own plant-based meat. And then again, the reason we are of course striving in Thailand because we are locally based, right? We can do a lot of things. I think let's say we focus on Thailand. How can we bring the best in Thailand? We find out the pocket of opportunity to work closely with some brands, some opportunity that we can do plant-based meat. We work with one frozen foods that's serving airlines that they will use plant-based because nice enough serving to airline, right? A lot of traveler, they come from many religions. We cannot eat here, not eat there, but plant-based seems to be cut through all these beliefs, right? Because there's no animal touch it. I think airline like this idea, right? They can serve this many belief traveler, right? So I think we have a chance to work with one company to serve the airline industry, but targeting specifically to their product. So we do the specific formulation, we do the specific size for them, and we forecast together, try to grow in this pocket of the niches in the market. And I think that is where we are working on.
Wow, great outlooks. Thank you so much, Con Smith. And so for all the listeners out there, I mean, if you're in Thailand, you really want to get a hold of some Let's Plant meat. And also if you're outside of Thailand, the products are available in
Singapore, I think, and then Vietnam. I think for other countries, they may have
Okay. Well, so yeah, definitely try the burger, try the katsu. I'm a big fan of your products. You know that. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a really pleasure and all your valuable insights. And for the listeners out there, if you enjoy this episode, then please help to share it with your friend, help to share it with your colleagues, help to inspire and educate and connect, and just share what's going on in this vibrant space of plant-based living here in Asia. I'm your host, Nick, and thank you so much. Con Smith, thank you.
Thank you.